Muzan Kibutsuji, who is widely known as the smooth criminal of Demon Slayer, has but one particular goal. It's not wiping out half of the world's population or eradicating the people of Eldia. He only wants to survive in the sunlight for his personal benefit. To understand more about his goal, let's dig into his past. Just how powerful will Muzan become if he conquered the sun? Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name is TK. If you're enjoying the content so far, please like, comment, and subscribe. We're climbing higher and higher every day. Let's get into some anime. Muzan's heart stopped several times in his mother's womb. He was born as a stillborn, and when he was about to be cremated, he barely escaped death by releasing his first cries. All his childhood, he kept struggling to survive, fighting an illness that would take his life before he reaches 20. Muzan finds a doctor that brought a tiny bit of hope of curing his disease. Unfortunately, Muzan wasn't too patient to see the results, and out of desperation and frustration, he stabbed the doctor to death. Fate pulled a fast one on Muzan, as the medicine finally started to work after the doctor was already dead. However, he needed to consume the flesh of humans to acquire a strong body. What's even more devastating for him is that he cannot walk in the sunlight. If he does so, it would burn him severely. Only if he had waited for the doctor to finish treatment with his blue spider lily medicine, things would have been different. Therefore, he has been searching for this flower since then, just so the sunlight doesn't burn him anymore. That is his one and only weakness that could still threaten his survival. Switching gears a little bit, remember the swords of the Demon Slayers? They're made with Nichiren, which is said to absorb sunlight, and by doing so, they're able to at least fight at the same level as demons. If the sunlight problem is out of the window, Muzan will become one undefeatable being. So yeah, that's why he wants to conquer the sun. Now moving on to the real question, can he really do so? Can Michael Jackson of the Demon Slayer universe conquer the sun? He believes that he can conquer the sun, and all he needs is to find the blue spider lily flower. However, he's growing desperate, as it has been over 1,000 years and he still has not found it. Moreover, he barely survived from Yoruichi, who beat all the smooth moves out of him. Even the Demon Slayer core is growing stronger by the day, and his upper ranks are consistently disappointing him. The god of fate finally smiles upon him, as after 1,000 years of struggle and killing humans, Muzan finds another solution. He could finally see himself getting closer to his goal. That is because, as you must have seen in the latest season, if not then spoiler warning, Nezuko has finally conquered the sun. In the last episode of the Swordsmith Village arc, we get to see Nezuko getting burned in the sunlight until she is finally able to overcome this one major weakness of demons. Quite a wonderful and wholesome scene though. After 1,000 years, Muzan smiles from his heart as fate has presented him with another option. He no longer needs to search the blue spider lily anymore, and all he needs to do is consume Nezuko and he will be all good to go. He will finally be able to show his moves in broad daylight. If you're wondering how Muzan was able to know the instant Nezuko conquered the sun, that's because Muzan has a connection with all of his demons. He can see what his demons can see, he can hear what they can hear, and he could telepathically talk to them or even look into their memories. He could do this all with all of them, and of course, except the ones who broke free from his control, such as Nezuko and Tamayo. When the siblings were having a wholesome moment under the bright sun, Huntengu wasn't fully killed. He was killed, but man, demons take their time to disappear. Before finally disappearing, he caught a glimpse of Nezuko under the sun, and so Muzan could see it too, and finally, his upper rank died for something worthy. But how can Nezuko conquer the sun before Muzan himself, who has been trying for over 1,000 years? Resisting the sun can also be classified as a unique ability, and Muzan has been converting humans into demons hoping that someone acquires this ability. Since no one did in 1,000 years, he limited himself to finding the blue spider lily. However, Nezuko managed to acquire this ability over time. No specific reason is given in the anime or manga, so it is widely believed that it happened because Nezuko's ancestors had been practicing Hinokami Kagura, an impure form of the original sun breathing that Yoruichi taught them. There's still no direct blood relationship between the Kamados and Yoruichi though. Even Nezuko's blood demon art is fire type, so that may be linked somehow. Also, Nezuko is the only demon surviving without human flesh and blood. All the rest have to rely on it at some point, but Nezuko has never tasted human flesh, and is the only demon strong enough to resist such an intense urge. Maybe these reasons added up to Nezuko developing the ability to conquer the sun. That doesn't matter to Muzan, as he has his eyes set on Nezuko now, and is coming for her sooner or later. To answer the previous question, yes, Muzan can conquer the sun if he has either obtains the blue spider lily flower or if he consumes Nezuko. Either way, conquering the sun is not impossible for Muzan. What if Muzan actually conquers the sun? This would simply make Muzan the most powerful being in the Demon Slayer world. None of the Hashira combined would be able to kill him. Dealing damage is one thing, but killing Muzan is out of the question. Not getting killed means he won't ever lose, and thus all of the Hashiras would meet the same fate as Rengoku. He could kill as he pleases, and he wouldn't have to go into hiding. He would become the Eren of this world and can wipe out 80% of the population if he chooses to. Not only that, but he could perform all of his abilities under the sun and no one will be able to stand against them. Well, that's if Tanjiro doesn't perfect the sun breathing and become a Xerox copy of Yoruichi. However, that's where it would get a little too complicated. Yoruichi was the best swordsman to ever live. If Muzan goes against him after conquering the sun, he wouldn't have been able to keep up with Yoruichi's attacks. Still, the only way Yoruichi's blade dealt damage was because of his sun-breathing technique, the original technique from which all the others were born, including water, mist, stone, fire, and the others. They are all divisions of Yoruichi's sun-breathing technique because no human was able to practice such an advanced technique. Now, this sun technique is useless because sun doesn't bother Muzan. He may as well use Yoruichi's attacks to get some tanning. If Muzan had conquered the sun much earlier, the whole timeline would have been different. Yoruichi wouldn't have been able to defeat him, and since he's just a human, he would have ended up killed by Muzan. Thus, Muzan wouldn't have to go into hiding, nor would he need to create upper moon and lower moons to find a cure to the sun problem. It would have been a much different world where Muzan could freely kill until he was satisfied. At this point, humans could only wish for Muzan to get frustrated over this weak world, and after years of not finding a worthy opponent who could force him into unleashing his tentacles, Muzan would just get depressed and end his own life. But I don't really see this as a probable outcome. But this is the only possible outcome that they could hopefully rely on. You must be wondering why just a single ability matters this much. It's because Muzan is already very powerful. One of his abilities is biological absorption, in which he could absorb, assimilate, and dissolve organic and inorganic objects. This is exactly how he plans to absorb Nezuko as well, although this ability will be used against him by Tamiyo in the final battle. Secondly, he has a unique combat form in which he could adapt a more monstrous form. This monstrous form is just as deadly as it is creepy, with sharp-toothed wide mouths all over his body. They not only tear apart their opponent's flesh, but can also help him recover faster. So not only a plus point in the offensive, but a huge plus in the defensive as well. Now comes the multifunction ability, and arguably one of Muzan's most dangerous abilities that can be used against all enemies is the arm whips. He can drastically elongate his arms and grow them out with red and white coverings. These whips can grow up to 10 meters long, and combined with the creepy mouths on his body, they really create a wholesome enemy. Looks aside, these whips were even acknowledged by Yoruichi, who stated that seeing them covered him in a feeling he had never felt before: fear. A single scrape from these whips could even take down the mighty Yoruichi. He could also use them to form a fast rotating circle around him, so anyone who gets close enough to him would get instantly killed by Muzan. His arm whips also have lots of mouths, full of sharp fangs along them. Through this, he could suck the enemies with great suction strength until they are slashed apart by the sharp jaws. So yeah, Muzan is capable of a multitude of attacks with just these whips alone. Muzan also possesses back whips and thigh whips. These back whips are just as fast, and with a strange trajectory, they are much more difficult to predict. On the other hand, thigh whips, 4 from each side, were brand new whips he created in the last battles against the Hashira to put them down once and for all. Another high-class ability that Muzan possesses is the use of his demonic blood. Only his blood has the power to transform humans into demons. The first thing about it is that he doesn't need to give love bites, unlike vampires. However, the quantity of the blood that the recipient could withstand varies from person to person. Once a person transforms into a demon, Muzan could then further empower them by giving them more blood. Generous Muzan. How could this ability be used in a fight though? Well, Muzan can coat his whips with his blood, so any opponent he strikes would either become a demon, his slave, or would just burst from the poison. Muzan could also transfer his blood along with his memories into a suitable body to turn his new host into a demon. He can fully control the new host as if it's his own new body. He will be doing so in the final battle as well with one of our main characters. As seen in the previous seasons, Daki and Hantenga were able to catch a glimpse of Muzan's memories of Yoruichi while fighting against Tanjiro. Along with conscious implementation, that is exactly what it sounds like. Muzan is also capable of demon manipulation, however, that requires extensive concentration, and will immediately lose control when he loses focus. All the demons he creates are installed with a unique folder by default that is called Kibutsuji's Curse. This curse is just like Voldemort's curse, whose name shall not be spoken. If any demon dares to say Muzan's last name, Kipusuji out loud, his body would stop regenerating, and Muzan cells would kill them instantly for anyone who dared say the name. Now, that's one way to stop people to talking about you. Muzan can also see all the memories of any human he converts and consumes or any demon he consumes. Also, he's the only one who can kill a demon without sunlight or a Nichiren sword. Those things are for noobs. As discussed earlier, Muzan also possesses the ability of telepathy. His extremely acute senses allows him to detect things outside the normal range of perception. This means Muzan doesn't need a weather forecast to tell him about the rain. Muzan doesn't need anyone to tell him when an enemy is nearby, and Muzan is always ready. Muzan wakes up every day and tells his alarm to ring. Having lived over 1,000 years, Muzan has gained a lot of knowledge. All our history books are verified by Muzan. He possesses 5 fully functioning brains, and that is how he was able to evade Ubuyashiki's family for all of these years. His cleverness can be seen through Daki or Sasumaru, who were swayed by his words alone and committed their lives to him. Muzan's speed and reflexes are also immeasurable. He could get up at 7:58 a.m. and still reach school at 8. His speed was shown when his pretend mother was ruining his moment of realization that Nezuko has finally conquered the sun, so he beheads her before the maid could even notice. Being the generous man he is, he showed no discrimination between his pretend mother and maid and beheaded her in the same way. It can't be overstated how powerful and broken Muzan will become after conquering the sun. There will be no one to contend with him. It doesn't even need to be mentioned, but in this universe, Muzan can have the physical strength superior to All Might, but wouldn't even have to train as much and go bald for all of his strength. Next up is his long list of powers is the Nigh Absolute Regeneration. He can regenerate so fast as if the attack never landed on him. He can regenerate faster than even Zenitsu starts to cry during a battle. He regenerates as if he's an all-time high on senzu beans. Lastly, Muzan has unlimited stamina and endurance. He could go all night and day while fighting the Hashira and never get tired at any moment. Excluding Yoruichi, he would go against these Hashira and completely mop the floor with them. Without digging much into spoilers, will Muzan be able to conquer the sun? The answer to this is no. He won't be able to get to consume Nezuko because the Hashira struck first. Even in that fight, thanks to Tamayo's help, they fought only a weakened Muzan. Anything more would just spoil the fight, so let's just say that even without conquering the sun, Muzan is way too powerful. Second to Yoruichi only, of course. Muzan always spares 30 minutes a day to thank God that Yoruichi still isn't alive. What do you all think of this what-if scenario? What if Yoruichi actually fought Muzan at full strength when he had conquered the sun? What do you think would happen? Would he be able to defeat him still? Would the legendary Yoruichi be able to still speed blitz him? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you're liking the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. My name is TK, loving us some anime.